Hello and welcome to our little weekly workshop on reading written patterns. Okay, so I just grabbed a random pattern that I have printed out on something that I'm going to be working on, and we're just going to briefly review this. I actually have two different patterns because honestly no two patterns are really written quite the same. But some of the important things about patterns is, like this one, it tells you down here the rating, it says is intermittent, and it tells you why, for the fingers and toe shaping and the increases and decreases involved, because some beginners haven't quite learned that technique yet. But it is, a lot of things can be very beginner friendly. It's not anything new as far as the stitches are concerned. It just depends on how beginner you are. And then it goes into the materials, which are worsted weight yarn, yada yada yada. It tells you the hook, stitch markers are given, if you need safety eyes, you know, all the different things that you need to create the project. Okay, then when you go into the next page, it has a gauge for this particular pattern. Because it's amigurumi, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then it goes into the stitch guide, and it tells you that it's US terms, not UK, because that makes a big difference. And then it tells you the different stitches you're going to see in this pattern. So when you look at a pattern, you see the stitch guide. If there's a stitch there you don't know, make sure you figure it out, okay? But also, if there is a not typical stitch, or not one of the 4 basic, we'll say 5 basic because we'll add treble to that. A lot of times you'll see the special stitch section. So it tells you how to do it, okay? So just get yourself into learning that. Okay, now the instructions, because this is amigurumi, it goes into the different parts. So it's the body, and it tells you to chain 2 to start, or start with a magic adjustable loop, which is a magic ring. Okay, and then tells you what to do in round 1. And you really need to kind of try to verse yourself, break it down. Okay, so you'll have your magic ring, you'll chain 1, and then do 7 single crochets in the magic ring, or if you chain 2 in the second chain from your hook. Okay, so chain 1, 7 single crochets in the second chain from your hook or in the magic ring. Place your stitch marker on the last stitch made. Okay, and then it tells you, this bracket here tells you what the total number count is at the end. Note, on each round, do not join. Work in a continuous spiral. So this is a spiral, these are spiral rounds. Okay, round 2, 2 single crochets in each single crochet to the marker. Okay, and then 2 single crochets in the mark stitch. Okay, and then place the marker in the last single crochet made. 14 single crochets. So you see, it's getting very descriptive for you. Now round 3, see these brackets? That tells you that that is going to be something that you're going to end up having to repeat. Sometimes you'll see stars. Okay, so single crochet in the next single crochet, 2 single crochets in the next single crochet. So this means 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2, or what would be called an increase sometimes, in the second stitch. And then it says repeat these brackets around to the single crochet before the marker. Single crochet in the stitch before the marker, and then 2 single crochets in the marked stinger where the marker is, for a total of 21. Now it doesn't tell you to do this, so there's a little mishap there, but you should get into the rhythm of putting your stitch marker in your last stitch. Okay, so, and then it just continues on that way. Okay, so that's how you read those ones. Let's look at this one because it's a lot different. It's written a lot different. Okay, so this is the first page. It shows the picture of what's being made, their little spiel, and then it just goes into the yarn that they use. They don't tell you how much, which is fine. How they made the nose, how they made the mask, that they need eyes, stitch markers, fiber fill scissors, all of this fun stuff. Okay, The terms are US crochet terms. It tells you the stitches being used and the terms being used. And then it tells you that the stitch count is at the end of the row in those parentheses, which is normal. Instructions in brackets will have a number after them indicating to repeat them. There's an example. So they really abbreviated how they did it instead of writing it all out for you. Okay, if a row is worked in the same multiple lines, the count at the end of the row will show the number of rows worked. Okay, so here's an example. Row 5 through 9, single crochet 6 rounds. 5 rows equals 6 single crochets per row is 30 stitches. Okay, so when switching colors, finish the stitch with a new color unless specified. You can cut off the old color after doing a few stitches with the new color. Okay, tie a knot. Okay, so we'll get into this, the directions of this one, because this one's a little bit more abbreviated. Front legs, make 2, start with black yarn. Okay, row 1, single crochet 4 into the magic circle, then pull closed. Okay, and that means there's 4 stitches. Row 2, single crochet, increase, increase. So that means in stitch number 1, do a single crochet. Stitch number 2, do a single crochet. Stitch number 3, do an increase, and an increase is 2 stitches in 1 stitch. 4th stitch, do an increase. Okay, so what you're doing per stitch is separated by a comma. And so then it goes on to the next one, round 3, decrease. Okay, which it does explain a decrease here, and they use an invisible decrease. So this is more of an intermittent pattern as well, but it didn't indicate that. But so it does a decrease and then single crochet, increase, increase, single crochet. So and then the stitch count, but that means in the first of 6, and that decrease actually will be in the first 2 stitches of 6. Okay, you'll do a decrease because it goes across 2 stitches, and then a single crochet, and then an increase, and a single crochet. So this is shaping the leg. The reason why it does that, and you have a decrease but you end up with a higher number, is it's shaping the leg. Okay, so but really I just want you to make sure that you understand that each comma is kind of like a break. That means the next stitch. If there's a decrease, then of course we know that that goes between 2 stitches. Okay, and then it tells you to switch. This is using eyelash yarn. So anyway, and it goes on to do that. So this is one that's more abbreviated. And so you just kind of have to understand what each stitch means, and just the basics of reading that the comma indicates what happened with the next stitch. If it is in brackets and there's commas like in this one, right? Brackets and commas. This means that it's going to take the 2 stitches, right? But then you're going to repeat, because the brackets mean you're going to repeat that. So every 2 stitches, these are going to happen. So that is the gist of it. So learning your symbols, what the brackets, stars, parentheses all mean, and learning the abbreviations for your stitches is key.